if you guys are just joining us, again, welcome to today's Dev Update. We've got a special guest we're bringing up right now that's going to walk us through a roadmap for character sheet updates in the coming months and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Backmann, one of our senior product managers here at D&D Beyond. Hey, Pat.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here, dude.
Hey. Hey, Millie.
Hello, hello.
So,
well, hey, yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you at? What do you do here? How long you been doing it? Do you deserve to stay?
Yeah. So, I am currently in my house as much as pretty much everybody is these days, but my house is in Huntsville. So still back when the whole thing got started, still at that same group of folks. I've been doing this now for 2 years in May with fandom. Prior to that, I was in defense contracting, aerospace defense contracting, specifically rotary wing. And the reason I could do that was I'm a retired Army helicopter pilot.
Which is amazing. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, kind of a weird genesis. But yeah, so
what were you
how do you go from being a helicopter pilot to making Dungeons and Dragons digital tools?
It's funny you should ask. So I was a Dungeons and Dragons fan well before I was a helicopter pilot, right? And I was a private in the Army. As a matter of fact, Joe, you had asked me to bring some nerd cred. Here's my nerd cred. So this is my spell book from circa 1992.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh no.
So I'll open it up and you can see that the spells are literally written out in some type of fake German, because I was in Germany when I made this in the infantry as a soldier before I was a pilot. And then you can tell that the character sheet in here somewhere is that's a second edition character sheet from way back when.
Oh my gosh. Your spell book is the same age as me. That's just how amazing this nerd cred is. Oh my gosh.
Looks pretty wore out.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
oh my gosh.
I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since 1984, red box set, in Wisconsin, where it was born. Joined the Army when I was 18 years old, and then somewhere in there, started flying helicopters. So then flying helicopters, got out of that, out of the Army after 20 years, retired, and worked for rotary wing defense contracting and learned how to become a program manager. And then once I knew how to become a program manager, I knew how to be a program manager, and I knew Dungeons and Dragons, and then I heard of Adam Bradford's net call to apply for a job. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's it. And so yeah, about 2 years I've been doing it.
Well, out of curiosity, I know that like a lot of enlisted soldiers, in the Army and Air Force, people really like Warhammer. People really like X-Wing. Is it the same for D&D? Like, did you play on base? Did you have buddies that you played with? Yeah,
it's grown, but back in the early 90s, it was still a little nerdy. So we had the common room cordoned off, and a couple of us started talking about it, and we're like, oh yeah, I did that. I did that, and it's you just kind of finding out the secret lives of your barracks mates. And then once we got together and figured out we had enough people to start a game, somebody said, hey, let's try this second edition while we're at it, because everybody's been secretly buying it down at the bookstore on base and reading it, and nobody's pulling it out and saying, look what I do. And now, no, we all do this. So You had that book, man. I bought that. I didn't know you had that book. And yeah, so that's how it gets going. But now you drive on a base now, and they literally have Dungeons and Dragons clubs, and you'll see it on the big morale welfare signs saying, "Hey, D&D Club, MWR, come down and see it." Blah blah blah. And there's people playing Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, Fantasy Flight, Star Wars, all the things.
That's awesome. That's so cool. We do in my previous life with Screen Junkies and Australians, we do a lot of work with Stack Up, which is a really awesome organization that works with veterans for suicide prevention. They do so via gaming, whether that's video games or tabletop. And so I'm hoping to start bringing some of that over to D&D Beyond, because they're a great crew and it's a great cause. And D&D, good for everybody, for your health and otherwise. I know there's probably a lot of people in chat that are like, stop talking about your lives. I want to hear about the stuff. So
at least like right now, the boss was defeated the first time. So they're entertained with a giveaway right now for a legendary bundle.
Perfect. But I will, I'm trying to provide everyone a balance of like, get to know everybody. And then also I'll give you your stuff. Let's talk stuff, Pat. I've brought you here to chat about character sheets, sort of about the upcoming roadmap on character sheets, and we've broken it up, as is tradition, between what's done, what's being done, and sort of what's coming in the future. So let's just jump in, man. Lead me through this a little bit.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to know where you come from, to know where you're going, right? And how hard it was to get here. So back in May, the team, this was before I was on the team, had finished up the service migration. And that was a big thing to get done so we could do stuff faster. So we started doing some stuff faster, and those were like those bugs and updates and those little annoying things that, people see when they run the character sheet on those edge cases or do this homebrew thing and get those things fixed. And then, dun, 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 this witch showed up by the name of Tasha. And she was worse than any witch I've ever seen in any movie, or grew up with, or saw in Halloween. Quite vile, evil, and full of a bag of rules and tricks that put us in a tailspin.
She seems so pleasant on the cover.
Oh, yeah, don't let her fool you, man. Just a pretty face. No, she's bad to the bone. And it's so bad that it still hurts, right? It still hurts. And we still have some, we've gotten rid of the sucking chest wounds at this point, but we still do have some bleeding going on. And yeah, so Tasha's is going to be around a while. And then, of course, when you introduce a bunch of new stuff, you find out that it breaks old stuff, right? So when her cauldron spilled across our desk, all the bugs, right? But we're starting to see the light of day there. And we just finished up with the simplified character data service. This is going to allow other parts of our website, specifically, you talked to Andrew last week, I think. So he's doing a lot of DM tools. It's going to allow those DM tools to talk to character data better. So first big implementation for this is going to be to update our Twitch extension so that Tasha's is supported inside there. And then near term-ish combat tracker, real, no kidding, character data on the combat tracker, which will be huge, right? We're talking about getting dice rolling for monsters on the combat tracker. Now you can see all your character data on the combat tracker. Now it's starting to really feel like a DM screen to run those combats and run them quickly and efficiently. But big news right around the corner. Matter of fact, the team is currently working on this right now as we speak, yes, we're going to support it. Keep the faith. The life domain cleric disciple of life functionality. So yeah, I probably should just take a bow and leave now because
honestly,
really the show's over.
Yeah, it show's over.
Now
But,
we'll get
go
into
ahead.
some details on the life domain clip. We're going to give this the due it deserves. So we can get into specificities and the challenges and the riddle that was the life domain cleric on its own show. I think it deserves its own show, but I think it's a good
It'll be a
tease for
special
now.
edition.
People know that the beacons have been lit and Rohan is coming.
Yeah.
Yes, quality of life domain cleric is on its way.
Good. Good. Yeah, it does deserve it. So I'm excited for that. So that's what's being done right now, right? And that Twitch extension update that I had talked about. And then what we have coming is really exciting. But what it means, so I'm going to give you these two things, and then what they mean there's a little more detail there. The generic feature system. So we have a features system, and some of you actually use it when you do homebrew stuff. But we're going to make a generic feature system that allows you to literally use feature-esque adjustments to the character sheet, modifiers to the character sheet, additions to the character sheet that are calling on these categories of contracts and secrets and boons, charms and blessings for all of those books. And then, even like Dark Secrets that's coming here in a little bit with Ravenloft stuff. Those kind of things are going to be able to be implemented into this generic feature system, which is going to give, no pun intended, the character sheet a real boon. Yeah. So that's super exciting. And I'm sure certain people probably have questions about that. So I'll just let that happen. And then the other one I want to talk about, which is a little further down the road later on in the year, is inventory sharing. And that's, we get a lot of requests for this. People are like, why can't I put stuff in my backpack? Well, you're going to be able to, right? You're going to be able to.
Literally, when I was introduced to this company, that was the question people had for me, was like, cool, where's my inventory sharing? And I was like, okay, I'll find out.
Every single post we have that's like a dev update or change log, people are like, yeah, but what about my bag of holding? Because like my artificer gnome is way over their carry limit.
Right.
Yeah, and it's such a pain to look at. You look at your character sheet and you look at your inventory, right? So I have a character sheet up right now, and I go to my equipment, and then it's just a list. And that's not how stuff works, right? And if I had a bag of holding and I'm carrying all of the party's loot in that list, man, right? So at least now I'll be able to have that bag of holding, nest that up smaller so it's not annoying, or even be able to have a shared bucket where maybe the party has a castle or a safe house or an airship, and you can put stuff in it, right? Yeah, like Pauly Shore used to say, you could put it in there, man. And then
I
of
love
course,
this. Oh my gosh.
the other sharing spot's going to be that hey, PC to PC. You've got mail. What? Yeah, Ruin Falkenberg just sent you a short sword +1. Oh, cool. And
That's
then
awesome.
I accept that. So
that's super cool.
Now when I say these things, Melly and Joe, I'm talking about skateboard to Ferrari, right? So the product life cycle, as you build it out to what it's gonna eventually be, you start at the skateboard, it starts to move, but it's all, leg propelled, and then it turns into a scooter, and then it turns into a little motorcycle, then a car, then a Ferrari, right? So we're talking Ferrari here, skateboard. In the near future, you're going to start to see some of these things, right?
That's cool. That's also how we're going to describe roadmap steps for everything from now on. Like, is this
Absolutely.
more scooter right now, or is this more like Oldsmobile? Where are we at?
Have we invented the wheel yet?
Yeah, this is rad. Thank you, Pat. And Melly, as people are getting questions in, we can start peppering and interrogating this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have some general character sheet questions here if we want to start talking about that, or if we want to continue on this and then come back to those.
Sure. Well, Pat, for one thing, inventory sharing is going to be really dangerous for me because someday I will show you all my Google Drive, which is just folder, some of which just have one document in them, but things need their folder, things need to be nested. So I cannot wait to apply that anal retentiveness to a character sheet. I'm very, very excited.
Absolutely. We got a question here from Taeduan. With shared buckets, will there be an add remove list to keep an eye on what was added and removed? It's like a log, I would kind of.
Oh yeah, so that's a good point. So we have these really talented folks on our team. They're called tech ops folks, right? And they implement tools that the internet provides for us. People like Amazon make, and they say, hey, use this cool tool. Well, there's a cool new tool that we're going to start implementing here soon that's going to allow us to log stuff, log this data. So we'll be able to know when somebody levels up and track that. And we're going to start to be able to maybe have a progression log of stuff. And if you have a progression log for the character sheet, you also could have some type of log that's saying when stuff got removed or when stuff got added, if that answers the question, right? So to keep an eye on what was those notifications.
That's a huge boon too. As me as a DM, I feel like I have to keep so much track of my party's loot because they forget about so many things. And then being able to be like, oh, right, yeah, okay, I gave that to this person at this point is going to be very, very helpful.
Yeah, not everyone has it. Yeah, not every table has like the person who's like, I'll be secretary.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's going to be super, super helpful.
If we want to know just how much people want this inventory stuff, a lot of these questions that came in before you talked about it were asking, when do we get inventory management? How can I make my bag of holding work? So they were very ready for this. But we got GDA XTD with the generic feature system. What is the feasibility of expanding this into a homebrew class system? Feels like it might be designed for something like this purpose.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. And when we talk about systems, it's really easy, especially for me, who's not super technical, to get into these conversations with the engineers and be like, well, if it's a box, can't I just take the box and put it in the warehouse? And can't I take a whole bunch of the boxes and put it in the warehouse and make a truck out of it? And they're like, no, that's not how this works, Pat. That's not how any of this works. So I would hate to say anything promising that this would allow for homebrew classes. What it's going to allow for is you to be able to manipulate the data on your character sheet in a way that you can name like a boon or a blessing. And then when you add it to the character sheet, you'll have this, you know how on your character sheet right now, you look at the features and traits? On that features and traits tab, it says class features, racial traits, and feats. Mm-hmm. Well, this right next to it, it would say boons or blessings, another pill or tab. And then you would have a list of all of those things that are happening to you. So is that another character class? No, another character class is a little deeper level of engineering that has to happen for that. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that we get more customizable the further down we get when we make these systems that are like Lego blocks versus a system that's like a chunk of lead, then you're just stuck with it, right?
Just like trying to add wheels to the bottom of it, like this lead could be a skateboard.
That's a great way of looking at it too, is Lego block versus sort of one solid mass. I think actually before we jump back into questions, Pat, you had sort of jotted down some thoughts for me about sort of the idea of like the player character experience and sort of the life cycle of that. If you don't think it's interesting to jump into, we can just jump back into questions and you can tell me to shut up. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
No, it actually came to me the other day. So I've been with this team now since August, and I always wanted to be on this team. The character sheet is a big freaking deal, and it also nobody else does a character sheet like D&D Beyond does a character sheet, which comes with all the warts along with it. If it doesn't work, it's more obvious. But this flow, and we talk about this in product, is a user flow, and how a user or a customer wants to receive the thing and do the thing. And there's different customers too. There's customers that are like super knowledgeable and have done this a million times before. They're going to enter at a different place than somebody who has never done it before. But you want to serve them all without making it harder for individuals. Mm-hmm. So the thought was, Joe, is how does this work in D&D? And one of the biggest barriers to entry for D&D, other than finding people to do it with, is knowing how to do it, right? That educational piece. And the character sheet's the first place that somebody sits there and goes, what? Okay, I get strength. I mean, but charisma? I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't know what the word charisma meant until I played D&D. I'm like, charisma, I get it, right? And then you start to compartmentalize and have these philosophical understandings of what creates something that's sentient and is recorded on a piece of paper. That education can be really, really deep and long and difficult, and it's a real great tool that we have here and an opportunity to say, hey, let's educate folks as they're building the thing. And then the next thing that comes along with education is the build, right? You build it and you build it easy with those Lego blocks. And it's not like, all right, yeah, so what class can I pick? All right, so I picked that class, and then here my ability scores are, wait a minute, this class I get a plus on, you know what I mean? It's all just like right there. And then once I built the character, then I wanna zhuzh it up, or church it up, or however you wanna call it. You wanna decorate it and make it yours. The character I'm currently playing right now in my Icewind Dale game is Rune Falkenberg. He looks like one of the Vikings from the show, but his background is the Rime of the Frost Maiden. His theme is the ice blue. He has the Rime dice, and then he has this like glowing aurora borealis kind of background. And if that's not on there, I just don't feel the game as much. I'm in Alabama. It's not cold here, but when I turn this on, it feels cold, it feels dark, it feels mysterious. So we have this decorate space that we want people to get more involved in and then get excited about. And we want to make it more available, because right now it's kind of, it does that, but we'll put it in the way, right? So you can see it. And then of course there's the play. Which is obvious. You have to be able to play on your character sheet and do all the things, and then maintain your character sheet. So when you level up or get a new thing or get rid of a thing, and then we have the other part, the sad part, right? The game's over. What do I do with the character sheet? What do I do with the character sheet, man? It's over. So I have to retire it or it dies. But then maybe we can immortalize it somehow. So this character is immortalized. But my D&D Beyond character, my immortalization is a digital space that just sits out there, or I could print it, I suppose. But maybe there's some neat ways to explore there. So right from the beginning, we start with education, and then we're immortalized in as our, how's the somebody can help me, maybe a line from Gladiator. What we do in life echoes through
our digital tool set. I believe.
Yeah, that's what Russell Crowe said, right?
That's awesome insight, actually. I love just that idea of the life cycle of creating a character, playing, and then them sort of still living on as like a creative part of us. I think that's so cool. And like, how can we sort of assist and help and remove barriers to every step of that, I think is really, really cool. Melly, I think we've got time for, like 2 or 3 more questions for Pat, if we got them.
Sure. All right.
Pat,
So
I will let you actually go do your job. I appreciate you.
Yeah, start upgrading that skateboard. So we got from Kale the Adventurer. This one was asked by a few people actually. Are there any updates you can share with regards to character sheets or builder for sidekick rules in Tasha? Sorry to reopen those wounds, Pat.
See, there she is again. I told you, Tasha. There she is again.
It was Tasha all along.
Tasha. Yeah, so yeah, we have a really great idea for this. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. It's not going to be anytime soon, but it should knock people's socks off if the idea can come to fruition. The characters team currently, our verticals, if you will, is the character sheet, the character builder, the Twitch extension, and the Avray Discord bot. We're currently jockeying for more of a, we want all the sentient elements of the game, right? The sentient elements and the things, the tools. And then like Andrew's team will take care of the orchestration and the music and the whole. We want to have like, here's your artist and here's his horn, go play. That said, sidekicks is those sentient things, and sidekicks are characters almost, right? Or you could play them as characters. Actually, WotC encourages the potential for new players to use kind of like an NPC stat block to play a character, because it's less to have to deal with and consume.
Sure, yeah.
So why wouldn't it be real cool to have an NPC stat block like a sidekick that can level pretty easily, a couple touches of a button, or be it like going from a 1040 EZ to a 1040 alpha. All you got to do is press the button, ask you about 50 questions, and now you have a 1040 alpha. So yeah, maybe soon, someday, be cool.
I think they probably like sidekicks. I think they seem really simple when you just have like a sheet of paper with stuff written on it, but I think people don't quite realize like how much has to go into like making it something that will be really functional on D&D Beyond.
And I think the challenge, and Pat, again, if I'm speaking out of turn, reach across the digital space and throttle me. But I think it's one thing to just be like, okay, sidekick, it's added just like it's added just like boons or miscellaneous items. It's just, if I want a horse, I now have a sidekick, right? But I think the way you guys sort of look at this, and what I want people to really like understand and take away is, you guys are, how can you do this beyond that? Like, how can sidekicks like actually like actively participate in the game? How can new features really enhance and not just be just a thing that you see with some stats? Like, how can you interact with them? How can they actually really improve your gameplay? I think is really kind of how you guys look at most everything. So because you always see in the comments people like, just add it.
Press the button.
It's like,
you have the button right here, just press it.
Yeah, but which is cool, but like also like, how can we do more and how can we kind of go beyond?
Yeah, you love the enthusiasm of the click the button, and a lot of people will say click the button, click the button, click the button, or do the thing, and it's great. Keep it coming, because that's what feeds our hunger to do the right thing. But then when we get it behind the curtain, we strip away the solutions, we strip away all of the noise, and then look at the real problem and then try to solve that. We're currently looking at a problem right now that is folders for my characters page, right? Hey man, can I have some folders for my characters page? I just got so many characters. Well, why do you have 150 characters? I don't even have time to play 150 characters.
I feel attacked.
I play 4 times a week.
Yeah, sorry.
But it might be that person is actually making characters as NPCs and running them in their games, and they need to have all the reference material for them.
They may 100% be doing that.
Character folders, or do they need an NPC space, right?
Hmm.
So it's trying to find the right solution to the problem versus just making the button, right?
Well said. Well said. Melly, I think we got time for one more question, and then we'll
Yeah, one
we'll release
more.
this man back to his free.
I think this one kind of ties into that immortalizing your character, which is, can character sheet customizations also be available in the exported printable version of the sheet?
This is exactly what we're talking about. So this immortalization thing kind of came from one of our new folks who works in marketing, believe it or not. So why would the character sheet export to some kind of icky PDF when we have all of these other assets that are attached to it, and we could export that character sheet to something just cooler, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with one of the engineers on the team. I'm actually a couple of the engineers on the team. Wouldn't it be cool if it was like a Mad Libs, right? As you hit the export to immortalize, it asks you a few things, and then it Mad Libs it out for you, and it says Rune Falkenberg, first of his name, from north of the IC, blah 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 blah, and it's kind of like a heraldry immortalization thing that you can, suitable for framing.
Spotify year in review, but for your character.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the the character progression log, right? That's going to help support those data points are going to help support these immortalization things, whatever they are that we can make. But that's down the road, and we'll definitely get there. So, yeah.
Well, dude, I appreciate you so much being here. I think that this was really cool, and hopefully people got a good amount of stuff to chew on. Got some hints, some stuff that's coming up in the near future. Pat, where can people find you on the internet? Or if you don't want to be found on the internet, what should people be looking at on the internet instead?
So what you shouldn't be looking at on the internet, people, right? Right. But if you want to find me on the internet, I'm not a big internet person. I am on LinkedIn. It's my name. And of course, you can find me at dndbeyond.com on the forums there, and hit me up anytime.
Right on. Thank you. So yeah, make sure you guys are dropping in, saying hey. Melly, thank you as always for co-piloting this thing with me, or actually just piloting. I'm really just sort of here to drop snarky comments and make fun slides. That's my job here. Thank you guys so much. And then if I can just back up to one key thing Pat said, one of the first things people do when they make a character is go, cool, now where can I play? Go to our Discord. There is an amazing community of people there that are looking for players, are looking to help you get into the game. I still think D&D Beyond is the absolute best way for you to just be able to dive in, start sharing your stories with each other. Go there. There's a great community there that is waiting specifically to meet you, and you deserve a good game of D&D. We'll see you guys later on, chatting about some new cool stuff, and we'll see you next time on the Dev Update. Thanks, everybody.